So, let's see. Last week we worked on pre-planning and communicating the specific scholar actions, and you put them in your plans, and you've been communicating them in class. So, what's been the impact of that?
I think I don't second guess myself like if I gave good direction or not, because I have like each of them as bullet points, and so I also say them as bullet points, which is good.
Why?
Because it's more concise, but also
Yes.
If students weren't necessarily paying attention at that moment, I don't second guess on if I gave that instruction or not. For instance, like there were a couple people who got a point deducted today for being off task by not being on the right page of our independent practice. And so I didn't second guess myself on if I gave that direction or not. I just said, like, that was communicated a minute ago. You haven't followed those directions. You've had a full minute
to the point
there. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Anything else about that one?
I had been pretty consistent on, like, if I have to do a do now, regroup when they come in, or the exit ticket is always the same, the last directions are always the same. But I think I'm getting more consistent on, like, now flip to the class practice at level 0, paper matches forward, stuff like that. Where there can be, like, more consistency across days.
Cool. I was consistent with the do now and in the class, but now I'm getting more consistent in the transitions within class.
Oh, I'm
Thank
sorry
you for
about all of those
Yeah,
critical.
thank you for coming in here.
I do that all the time.
7th graders, they're like Tasmanian devils.
They are.
All right, and then one of the other things I just want to follow up on, because this is an ongoing thing, is do not talk over. How's that been going?
That's been going okay. I'm still trying to find the right amount of time to pause for to make sure that the room is entirely quiet, because I want to make sure that I'm paused for long enough. But I think that some of the students aren't as used to me pausing for that long, and so by being uncomfortable, some of them will start to pop up and talk.
So this is why it's an ongoing action
Yeah.
stuff, though. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like I'm still getting used to what the right amount of pause is.
Okay. So what are some of, I'm going to keep that on there then. Oh,
Yeah.
I do have it on there already as ongoing, but what are some of the positive impacts you've seen?
They are much faster to quiet down during countdowns, during notes. I think it's been very constructive.
Why?
Because of just stopping and staring at the conversation. And so the whole class knows that that conversation is happening. And the whole class also knows that I know that the conversation is happening, and I'm waiting specifically for that one to, like, stop. I find that the uncomfortable pause is usually when I'm going over the independent practice, rather than the note section.
Okay.
I'm not sure why that is, but that's
I can
just
go
a
in and
trend I'm
watch.
starting to see.
A couple of things off the top of my head might be because maybe you're going over a question they already know,
Yeah.
or maybe they're really confused, and so then we might need to do that, like, database cold calling, the call the
Yeah.
low, high, low, medium, high, low. Okay, that's something for me to watch for. Great. So, let's see.
And
I have a
then
lesson
ongoing
plan for our coaching session, like you read for your classes. Yeah. So I wanna. I also took a lot of Dayquil today. Oh, so one of the things I want to talk to you about is, so we're going to continue the do not talk over and the communicating the scholar actions, because those are everyday things. But in particular, I want to dive into using the BMC to
Yes.
hold them accountable for 100% of them meeting the expectation. So we're going to talk about what that means in a minute, and we can tie that into the action steps after we practice a little bit. So I'm going to model something that you and I have worked on before, but in particular, I want you to focus on how I use the BMC to hold students accountable. So in front of class, students are working on their do now, and I say, scholars, my vision is that we only have one, our packet for science, and one writing utensil on our desks. I need every single other thing in your seat sack. Thank you, Marquand, for putting the extra pencils in his seat sack. Thank you, La Brea, for putting her recording folder in her seat sack. At this point, within the next 3 seconds, everything should be in your seat sack. 3. Thank you, Jure. 2. And 1. Oh, La Brea, that's 1. Opposite of directions, put the pencil back in the seat sack. Thank you. Oh, Marquand, accordion folder in the seat sack. That's 1. Thank you. Now that everything's in our seat sacks, it stays there for the rest of class. Thank you. And then I would circulate. So that's something that we practiced before. But how in particular did I use the BMC to follow up? What are some things you
The
noticed?
clear time frame to make sure that, you know, like they've come in, they've probably started their do now, so waiting until everyone has taken a seat is in their do now and the noise level is level 0. Then from the front of the room saying, like, my expectation is for all of your materials to be in your seat sack besides your packet for today and 1 pencil. And then
Why did I say 1 pencil?
because Duran likes to play with
Pencil TPs are a problem, yes.
Yeah. And so then would you do the narration while passing out? Because pretty much every class I have to give at least 3 scholars a new pencil for them to start their do now.
You can do, I would do the pencils first,
The pencils first and then
state the expectation about the seat sack, because in your action step this week, I'm going to say the goal is within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Within the first 5 minutes, because it's understandable the kid might need to get a couple things out within the first 5 minutes, then everything should be put away.
Yeah. And what about restroom signature sheets?
You can have those out then, I guess.
Okay.
So the packet, the restroom signature sheet, and 1 writing utensil.
Okay.
Okay, good question. I didn't think about that. What did you notice after I corrected someone, though?
You stayed with them until they met the expectation, and then you said thank you, and that's when you moved on to other people.
How did I move on to other people? What do you mean?
I mean, like, you waited the whole time while they were putting whatever it was in, and then they would be back here and starting again, and you said thank you, and then you'd be scanning again rather than, like, focusing on that one.
And what did I do to tie a bow on it at the end?
This is how our desks should stay for the rest of class.
Great.
Yeah.
And because you've stated that, what happens later in the class if somebody takes something out?
1 procedures.
Awesome. So I'm gonna watch a video from the beginning of your class the other day, and I just want, this is just to get you to notice why I chose this action step, because you'll see that kiddos are,
Shuffling with things.
again, this is just so you can see why I chose it.
Up on the top of this next page where it says engage. Corian's already here, Anthony's already here.
Whoops. And if you go here,
Silent point.
Yeah.
Because you can't actually see.
so that will eliminate a lot of distractions. Great. So your action step this week is to ensure 100% of students put everything in their seat sack except for their packet and one writing utensil.
Yeah.
So that's the big action step, but what are the key steps you're going to take to get there?
So, during the first 5, after pencils are passed out, and after everyone's in their seat, which they all got new assigned seats today, so that was another part of their agitation. Once everyone's in the correct seat, doing their do now, any fresh pencils are handed out, then plant at the front, give the direction, thank the scholars who are already doing it, keep watch, give the countdown, then take the points.
Okay, tell me how you're taking the points. What does it sound like, and what do you have to do?
So, is it a point for opposite of directions, or is it a point for procedure?
It doesn't. I don't think it matters, but just
Okay,
pick one and
just
stick
'cause
with it.
procedure is faster.
Okay, then do
Um,
procedure. As long as you're consistent, then that's fine.
Okay, so, mark 1, that's 1, procedures, everything in your seat set. Thank you.
Great,
And then like go back to scan it, and then find the next person.
great. So if you look in your notes set for this week, I put your overall goal is to ensure 100% of students put everything but their packet and one writing utensil in their seat sack within the first 5 minutes of class. I'm gonna say, and keep it there.
Yeah.
And so here's the metrics for doing that. Oh yeah, good call.
Because I also have a feeling that if they don't get that out at the beginning,
Then that'll be an excuse to go in
then
there. Very,
they'll
very good
go
call.
in there, grab stuff, and leave it out.
Very good call. Okay, so I want you to jump into practicing. Say you've just done the pencil thing. Remember, this is within the first 5 minutes
Yep.
of class. You've just taken care of the pencils. Kids are working on a level 0. Why don't you stand over maybe where I did and practice this? I'm gonna try to get you on video. There we go.
So I thank you so much for focused on reading it. Scholars, at this moment, I need all of your materials except for your class packet, 1 pencil, and your restroom sheet to be in your seat sack. Thank you, Alicia, already moving. In 5. Thank you, Mike Juan. In 4. Darian, go ahead and get started. Thank you. In 3. Thank you, Destiny, putting away that extra pencil. In 2. And 1. And Brea, that's 1. All materials in your seat sack. Thank you. Betty, that's 1. All materials in your seat sack. Thank you. Derek, that's 1.
morning. We're in a coaching session. Good morning, no. Good to see you. How was your birthday?
That was nice.
It was effective when I noticed you're being much more intentional about your scans
Mhm.
these days. Because in the past, I think that you would always maybe have a blind spot, but I totally noticed you like turning your neck. So that was really
Mhm.
effective. Next time when you're praising during the countdown, say the specific things that
Okay.
scholars are doing. Because
So,
you
like-
said thank you this, thank you that, but like,
Thank you for
remember
putting the
that.
pencil away.
Yeah, because what is it again? There are two purposes. Well, two big purposes of positive specific praise. What are they?
So that other people know the expectations.
And
And so that that individual, like, knew what they
did right.
did that.
Okay, good. So let's do it again from the start because we have a little bit of time.
Scholars, at this moment, I need everything to be put away except for your class packet, one pencil, and your restroom signature sheet. Go ahead and put everything else in your CSAC in 5. Thank you, La Brea. Her accordion folder's away in 4. Thank you, Unique, making sure she has one pencil out. 3. Thank you, Marquand, free and clear desk. In 2. And 1. Eddie, that's 1. Both pencils in the CSAC. Thank you. Delia, that's 1. Accordion folder in your CSAC. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. So I'm going to follow up in 2 ways. One, I'm going to come in today and film the start of WMU.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put this in here. So film me wall. That's me. We'll film WMU. Oh, we can't see us. Hi. We'll film WMU on 1:30.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm going to do this week is I'm trying to work on my follow-up so that it's like a quicker turnaround, and I'm going to send you the video
Okay.
with a grow and a glow.
Okay.
And then I'm going to come in again tomorrow and get some more film.
Okay.
And then we'll determine based upon tomorrow
Mhm.
whether we can move on or if we keep fine-tuning it, because we need
Yeah.
to have that to happen in every single class. And then in terms of live coaching, if I'm in the room and I notice that like you're about to go over the do now, but I see some stuff, I'm gonna do what I usually do to tell you not to move on. Be like,
Mm-hmm.
tell you to scan, and if
Yeah.
you don't catch them, because sometimes kids are sneaky with like stuff, I'll
Yeah.
point to them for you.
Okay.
Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Should their purses also be in the CSAC?
What we have done in Jen's class is if they can fit, they put them in here, but if they can't fit, like, she's put them on the side over here, or on sometimes they can stay on the little,
Lunch.
yeah,
Okay.
couldn't think of that
Because
word.
I've also been putting books over there so
Good
that
idea.
everyone on that side of the room
That's a great idea.
has no excuse